Hello everyone, welcome back. So we're still going at with our JPACT activities. A short gap in between, but a lot of questions that we've been covering through it. The primary concept is to make sure that we are able to understand the kind of technical questions that come our way and how do we handle them. This is 4th of May 2020 and some questions on the automation basics. So I want to start with these specific ones, team. Let me write them as a question. Explain each of them. What do they do? Okay. So IDE, WebDriver, and Grade. So that's primarily the differences there. Element identification, different methods, and I also want you to talk about absolute and relative XBAR. It is all about how we speak and put things in place, team. Relative XBAR. When it comes to frameworks, we're looking at various types of automation frameworks. How do they work? What are the benefits and drawbacks? So with SDET training, I know we've been going through a few of them. I want to keep that ongoing as well, team. But I do definitely want to have most of you talk about these as we go along. We will get into more detailed topics around. So team, now is your time. Raise your hands and please note all these answers that you give are like how you answer in an interview. So it gets you well prepared, team. Well prepared on the presentation or a speech point of view. So first time when someone asks you a question, you may not have all the words to express it correctly. But as that keeps growing, you'll know that, oh, you know what, I can speak freely on it. So your ability to speak very freely, that's very key thing as well. Okay, here we are. Questions. You can take any of these. Let's get them. So automation basics. At least, why do we need to go from or migrate from manual to automation? Can someone answer this? And then we can go into the other questions. So team, before I hand it over to some of the participants to answer them, please note, it's absolutely okay if our answer is not correct. And sure, because this is the chance or platform for you to correct it. And we can work on that. Also the fact that this builds your project experience. So most of you have been working in projects and so on, but how do we put it together and present it becomes important. Okay, so I'm gonna go with a few hands. Anil?
Yes, actually when we do some changes or regression testing sometimes, We need
Which
to.
question are we answering this? Anil, first one?
Yes. Why do we need every time
Sure.
automation? Yeah. So because every time we need to do the same thing, we will get sometime bored also. Instead, we can do it automated.
Mhm.
That's what I think.
Sure. And this is a very important point, team, because getting bored is okay, but when we get bored, we are prone to make mistakes. So may not follow the entire process of our QA, of how we've decided. So that becomes a challenge. So we're also saying changes in the application unit test. And you said something about regression testing. What was that? I think you muted at your end, Neil.
Yeah. Regression, that also comes into the point, right? So every time the regression also makes things easy when we automate.
Can you expand?
So suppose we did some changes to any module, or we did some changes to any application, we need to do regression testing.
Mhm.
So at that point of time, automation will be helpful.
Automation will help. So correct and perfect. What else? Let's see. I have a few more hands raised. Vijaya, Shalan.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, hi, Karthik.
hello.
I'm Vijaya.
Hi, Vijaya. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. For the first one, yeah, we can cut the maintenance cost, and if you manual testers, if we have 3 or something, for the automation testing, we can maintain with one tester, and it is more reliable, and it is easy, and it can go with the element identification question.
Sure. Maybe in a couple of seconds or few
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
try
Okay.
to finish a little bit more here. This is getting interesting for all of us. Anyone else would want to add to the same thing?
Hi, Karthik.
Yeah, so sorry, I just have one point.
Okay.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time as per my point of view. And also, 100% manual testing cannot be done because performance testing we do, so it can be done only through automation.
Sure, thank you. Sure. Who's going next? And team, once you're done, you can go back on mute, please.
Hi, Karthik. This is Geeta here. So, according to my understanding and experience, what automation testing is when a application is stable enough to test. So that is when we can go for the automation testing. So if our application is stable and we have a number of test cases to cover in regression, then this is always best option to go for the automation, because in each release we keep on adding a number of test cases to the regression suite. So it is not that easy, or that is not that easy to cover all the regression test cases manually, because it takes lots of manual effort and time. So to avoid that, and we can go for this automation as as we have the stable application. So once we have some regression, once we have some scripts, automation scripts available for the application, that is very easy to cover all the regression test cases, and it definitely saves the time and cost and accuracy as well, according to my understanding. So as other friends said, people are bored, they definitely can do mistakes, or all the, if for example, if new person is working on that, they may not aware of the functionality, so there are chances of doing mistakes there. So if those test cases are really important for the release, then definitely it will hamper the work as well, even though they complete the manual work. So in those cases, automation testing would be the good option to follow for any organization.
So in that is where we're getting deeper into it, everyone. Can I request all of you to go on mute, please? Um, and we have so many factors to it. We have coverage, we have speed, we have everything into it. It becomes interesting. So we also maybe talk about automation tools and what they can do. But yes, anyone else wants to add to this list?
Hi Karthik, Bhargavi here. Just because that the cost efficiency is increased in terms of cost and maintenance, or in terms of resources, we can increase our test coverage. And also to my favorite part is that we can test the multilingual sites also, because not all the resources are aware of all the languages, so we can test the multilingual sites also using this automation. Also, we can run the regressions overnight, as we discussed previously, that it saves time. If it can be run overnight, during the morning, we can cover the report, bugs, and then share the bug reports and work on, before the production, we can work on the issues, right? If they are real issues or automation issues or something like that. So
Sure.
if time is really important, it really helps us in time management.
Yeah.
Definitely they are, definitely they are error prone, and so we can consider, like criticality wise for business, such test cases can be automated definitely in every organization. High risk or high critical test cases, they can be automated, just to make sure that they are error prone, not error prone.
Karthik, one other point, if company is, any organization is following DevOps model, then there are definitely hundreds of test cases for each code check-ins they cover. So that is not at all possible to complete by manual testing. For sure, we need to have automation test scripts for that.
Okay. So, holistically, we should get that concept and an idea of how we can present it. 10 minutes for that answer. So what are all those critical ones we'll have to look at? Yes, Divya, Harshvardhan.
Yeah, hi Karthik.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, please. I can hear you.
I have added one more point. Compared to manual testing, the less human source is required.
Can you repeat that once again?
Less human source required, sir.
Less human?
Human source resources required.
Human resources. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we are talking about the same point. Some saying, for example, 4 manual testers, we can get to 1 automation tester. And team, I want you to speak your answers. I don't want to read them. I know it's nice answers that you're putting there. Nita, I think it depends on the business. If it is large, then we can choose for the automation where how often we are going to use it and think on the return of investment. I think team, a few more important things are things like ROI. That's correct, Nita. Return on investment. So all we need to do is to build automation takes effort and time. We need to catch up with ongoing releases also, remember, because the releases won't be waiting for us. So how much effort should we put in? When can we expect to see positive results? Oh, you know what, 10 people worked hard and so on. Now it's saving us time. Maybe it could be a 3rd regression cycle or a 4th or 10th. We never know. That return on investment also is a key aspect. But team, none of you have answered this in terms of ERA. See, the reason I tell ERA is because it is so easy to explain to anyone. It's all about these 3 factors. Everything else you can put it in under them. So whatever English or examples you want to take, put them under it. Have some ground rules, thumb rules, and that is what we're saying, that my thumb rules for automation is ERA. How many of you have not heard ERA from me in automation? I'm not getting any answers. So why didn't you use that? Efficiency. So when you're speaking, we can give all the answer accumulated. We cannot forget. Efficiency. Why is it efficient? Manual tester takes 4 weeks. Automation is taking 2 days to execute. Or creation may be longer in automation, but it is still more faster when we are executing. So when do we get the ROI? Next is reusability. Once we build it, how many times are we going to use it? So if we put all the effort into it, we're not going to reuse it. What's the point? So every framework or automation solution has to develop or start with the concept of who has to use it. Can manual testers start to use it? Can automation developers are only needed always? What is the clause for it? Next is accuracy. And this is where the dramatic difference comes in. We can trust a human skill, and some of us said we get bored and so on. Even the best Superman can get bored. But unlike in that case, in an automation, it won't get bored, it won't get tired. It'll repeat the same steps over and over. But your accuracy is about your instructions or the scripts or the regression test suite that you create as to what to do, where to do, how to do. Then it will perform based on that. So, and all the advantages that you can compose, try and put them under it. It is this one I felt, because look at how many points we'll have to express otherwise. All of this can be combined into these 3 thumb rules. So I think a lot of these concepts you should be able to digest. Looks okay, team? Just my points, a few more that I added. But otherwise, we're good. We can move on to the next one, if you're good with that. And you're all, most of you are unmuted right now. Automation tools. So team, talk to me about various automation tools, what they do, what do we use them for? It could be your experience, it could be your knowledge. There's so much the market. And before I go there, one more caution, team. See, predominantly, if you look at my question, I nowhere asked bit about software testing. The same question could be asked even in a manufacturing plant, where they're trying to convert from a simple human built car engines and all that to a fully manufactured, like a Tesla plant, whatever, automated. So your answers could also be more applicable. And say in general, automation does this. In software testing for us, it becomes more and more important about how we report defects. How do we report, runs? All of this becomes important. Okay. Next one, automation tools. Various automation tools and what do they do? So this list is big, but let's try and jot down a quick few things and summarize them into categories. But
First in the race goes in Selenium, obviously.
so what category should I put this in? UI?
Web-based application testing, for any web-based application testing.
Okay, Selenium is there.
Selenium is there, and SOAP UI is also there. For
Talk on it. Yes, please keep going, Geeta.
SOAP UI and RESTful Postman. Those are also the automation tools for API testing. QTP is there, but we are no. I mean, very less companies are using that.
Not necessarily. Micro Focus UFT is back in action. There are a lot of clients which are still using QTP. I've used QTP extensively. It is a very, very well built tool when we look at everything. So compete, but user base may be smaller, still a compatible.
Yeah, for for desktop applications, I heard that they use Test Complete and RunnerX. I'm not sure about it, how they work, but these two tools I heard.
It's very simple from a perspective of how they work, web or desktop. You know how the code is written in HTML. That's the layout for it. And it looks at everything as a document object model. In a desktop, that application could have been written in .NET or any application. So for us to identify that, the tool itself should be able to understand the Java code. And that's where plugins come and say, what UFT does that to a certain extent. Mobile and desktop integration.
Yes, yes. So I have a question here, Karthik. For desktop applications, are there any chance that they develop in Java as well, or they? I mean,
anything. Even for example, Anyot desktop application. See, I open it now. This is an application only has 5 forms. I can put, I'm planning to put now more tabs onto it. So how do we test that this application itself is working correctly or not? As an example. And lot of the older applications started as a desktop application, and then they became a cloud-based application. Once they became a cloud-based application, we also have a cloud version to it to test. So that is where the difference comes. So all we need is to be able to figure out what code is it written in. So Anyot, what was written in Java. So we used NetBeans and Java Swing to come up with that UI. Everything else is a Java application. Yes. And a lot of these applications could be, look at Selenium IDE or Eclipse. I don't know what technologies they're made of. One of these programming languages, Ruby on Rails, lot of technologies, Python, I don't know what they're made of. VB.NET has been very popular with creating back-end desktop applications.
Yeah, all the in healthcare, all the claim related applications, they mostly will be on, adjudication related. All those applications will be on desktop applications. Like all the black screen applications generally are desktop.
Right. So that is where API and level is very important, because if you have a front end display the same or a middle layer like a little bit above API, above middle layer like API, then we can also simulate them and say, okay, I'm calling this service, I want to see this request, what it's getting, then I will run accordingly. That can be done very efficiently. We have done this in a very large manner, API integration for one of our earlier customers, where that entire API suite was there. Let me see. API RESTful integration. So apart from what you typically see in NEOT, just as an example team, here we used a lot of different things. So basically we have different user profiles like email ID, student ID, group ID, enrollments, and so on. And there are APIs that will fetch the data. So if I pass this information for this user, it will go and get the data for me. Then what I do is I get that data, I update all the data that I need and to that specific column of that user, and then go into my test execution. So it is in this case split into two cases, where I have an API mapping that's going on. I'm saying where my URL keys for each of them, and I'm sending the request with different parameters, getting a JSON response, converting that into a two-dimensional array and reading that data. That data, I'll put it here. Once I got the data, now when I'm running the test, I will use this, which is common static test data. User-defined keywords also is common, and element IDs is also common. So that becomes pre-automation run. So before I do an automation, I will prepare everything and then do a run. Can desktop application be run without internet connection? Absolutely. Absolutely yes, as long as they do not require to be connected to the internet. Okay, so there are some applications which require to be constantly connected to it. So for example, NEOT right now or Climatic, it requires that, hey, you are connected to it. If you're not connected, it will start throwing application errors on. Any more answers on that, team? Going back to this.
Means if those interfaces, if that application is interacting with any other interfaces, then we require internet connection. Karthik, is
correct.
it was
correct.
that way?
So exactly. So for example, how do I show you? One second. Now let's take any of these. Now simplest one, Postman is there. Postman is my desktop application. Okay. So if I launch it on my desktop mode, it's got nothing to do with internet yet. If I switch off the internet, maybe it'll launch. If it is asking me to connect and so and so, it will not be able to launch. Eclipse will work offline. PyCharm will work offline. Notepad, WordPress, Excel will work offline. Postman maybe will launch offline, but let us say if I have a few requests in my collections here. So these requests are requested get couple of posts. So let me execute all of these requests in the collection. So this is not connected. Now this is a desktop application team. There's nothing browser involved in it. So if this is running in it,
Yeah, Karthik, I got it. For SOAP UI or RESTful services, it is calling a service. So it need to go somewhere and fetch the record. So for that, we need the internet connection.
Like a Zoom meeting or GoToWebinar, all of these requirements as well. All right. What else, team? Automation tools. And it's okay, team, if we are deviating and discussing any other things from our core topic, absolutely fine, because it's nice.
Is Cucumber is a tool, Karthik? Cucumber and
Good question.
Silk test.
What else?
And IBM one tool is there.
So cucumber.io, lot of tools, team. What do each of them do? How are they working? How are they different? And what do they do?
Is Cucumber is a framework or a tool, Karthik?
Cucumber is a tool. It's an application. See,
Okay.
and it looks like it's also been purchased already by SmartBin. See, primarily what they're all trying to do is being able to access and work on your applications to test. So to test them, we have to give them commands. So there is a whole concept called acceptance test driven development called ATDD or BDD also. And maybe you should explain to me later what is ATDD and BDD, behavior development.
BDD is a behavioral driven development.
So in a behavior driven development, all that they want the manual tester or a B or anyone who's writing this test to talk about it like in English. And English, what do we say? That see, primarily any test that we do will say, here is my test. Okay, it's gonna do a bunch of things. Here is my input, and this is my output, expected output. Test 1, test 2, and so on will become a test user story or a use case. All of them put together, like, bunch of steps. So at every step, they want you to say that this is my scenario. Eating a few is no problem. Given the fact that Alice is hungry, when she eats 3 cucumbers, then she will be full. So they want you to write tests in this format, which is almost very similar to how robot framework tried to do. And it was brilliant. This was built on Python. And the same, it was more acceptance test driven and BDD driven. That is what it used to say here. Now they started changing it to robotic process automation. But primarily, how do we write those tests? See, look here. Here's my test case, valid login. Open browser to login page. Input username demo. Input password more. So I can parameterize these. I can make additional keywords. I can use libraries and so on. But my tests will all get saved as .py files, .python. So if my application has 500 test cases, I will have 500.py files. If I'm smart enough, I will have at least 100 Python programs to manage. Similarly with Cucumber and so on. So great to get started. What all tests do we run? How large are these tests become important? They're not doing any different thinking. They're all trying to go into the same thing. Then you have Catalan. That also picked up speed last year. I haven't been hearing too much of it. But again, it's the whole concept is adaptability. Who wants to use those tools and what do they use? So we need to at least get some of these. Then, so see, these are SaaS solutions, some of these, okay?
This Cucumber, Catalan, all these are open source tools or?
No, not necessarily. Catalan is a SaaS, software as a service. So is Sauce Labs or Browser Stack or I don't know, but I think Cucumber is you build on. Now, Cucumber is doing, they started with a free interface, so you can build tests. But now they're saying cloud, or what are they saying? What is the cloud? Cucumber, something they're calling it, is maybe is a premium service. I'm not sure. It's like you build your tests, but you want to host them, you want to run them, and so on. Then you use various things. And team performance. So all these tools are something we need to capture. Performance testing, security testing, mobile app testing. For sure, these things will become very, very critical going forward. Almost like mandatory skills team. At least we have the previous video libraries team, go through a full course on them. It will give you a good perspective. So just saying a few tools may not help us. Protractor, again, a lot of things came and went in between teams. I don't know where to put them. So Cucumber, robot framework. And then so many browser plugins. The thing with Anyot is simple. It has an Excel and a web UI. So whatever I'm doing here on the Excel, I don't know how many of you seen, but we could replicate the same on the web UI. So I have the entire test being set up here, all the reusable components, everything is nicely aligned. And we're also coming up with import test set. So I can do offline changes to my Excel and still be able to import them back. So I can maintain both versions together. So that will be interesting as well. Any more points? So team, definitely get a good perspective on this. If there are more that we can think of adding into this, we'll keep adding.
I have a question on performance testing, Karthik. In general, we will have different teams to do this performance testing, right? General QA is not responsible to do all the performance related testing. Maybe sometimes we may support to performance testers to understand the workflow, how that test cases are working for the functionality what we are testing. But we generally have the performance teams altogether different, where they work on load testing and everything, right?
See, basically you have your stress and load testing. Of course, you have device-based testing, parallel users, concurrent users, all of these come into place. If I can, I'll quickly try and share something here. Now, it does not have to be that performance testing is done by a non-QA team. QA team can completely do that performance testing. It's just the schedule of it. So in an overall schedule of your release from requirement all the way to production, maybe your performance testing is getting triggered here. At that time you want some peak performance is being done on it. And you have a very short window of time. And you'll take a few scenarios, you'll not take all the 500 test cases and do performance testing on them. We'll take maybe 20 critical ones and we'll.
Yes.
So this can be done by anyone. So just trying to search for thing.
Yeah. In my experience, I mean, for any regression phases, for example, for each release, we have like 2 sprints of regression, wherein we have some sort of performances testing, where we used to work on some test cases where we have all the baselines. So we need to run some test cases to cover all the functionalities are working properly with that baseline or not. That kind of testing we used to do. But for example, if I take a installation of like 1,000,000 meters, for example,
Yeah.
I used to work in electrical meter related work. So there are like scenarios like customer need to install 1,000,000 meters. So those kind of works will be covered with, covered by the performance team, not the regular QA team. So to see the load, how our
Correct,
application
because it could be outsourced surveys, it could be very specifically hardware, software, all managed together.
Yes.
Specific team which is focused on.
Correct.
And they have to do a lot of throttling to figure out the server, what can it hold, and so on. Absolutely, yes.
Correct. And those performance testers, they don't know the idea of the flow, how the functionality of the application
They've got nothing
is.
to do with it.
Yeah. Then they come to us.
1,000 users, 10,000 users log in at the same time or sending
Correct.
the same. Yes. What happens? Yes. Go ahead, please.
Correct. So to get the knowledge on that particular test, they come to regular QA and ask what all the flow they need to follow. So they get the knowledge from us, know the flow from us, and they work on like huge data.
That's correct. And see, for example, in this case also, just showing you team. See, I don't have too many test cases. They're basically few simple scenarios. Okay, not too many of them. As I go into the columns as to what is happening in each mode, becomes important for us. It's just a mobile app testing. So my scenarios are not critical, but how is that application behaving under different circumstances? Wi-Fi, 3G, no network, battery low, interrupted call interruptions, airplane mode, Bluetooth, all of this, what happens? So primarily for your such things like performance and so on, even basic application performance, what is behaving on a browser or mobile app, we will do only a few scenarios. This doesn't cover necessarily all the scenarios. But as you go about, you may have all the functional scenarios. So this is all the functional scenarios that we have. But for running it on devices, we'll only select a few of them. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes, Karthik.
Because we want to look at the performance based on traffic is what we're looking at. If a lot of traffic comes, and then what do we do? If one user comes, he can only go this speed for so long, correct? So we know, oh, one user has come, he'll go one step, one step, one step. That's a regular regression test. All right, where are we? Any other points, team, here? So this is something I still want you to feel very comfortable, everyone. So please.
So a small question, Karthik, because UFT, I believe it is from HP, right? It was before this
So
micro.
UFT was from Mercury.
Yeah, then it was acquired by HP.
Then HP, then now Micro Focus.
So when it comes to that, we need to learn more about .NET, I guess. Is that correct?
No, who said?
Okay. Right.
I'm sorry, .NET, no, VB script, yes.
Sorry, VB. Yeah, I forgot
VB
that.
script, yes.
So in this case, when we come to Selenium, we should know more about Java.
Yeah.
So how many languages we should be familiar to just hold the.
One language is good, syntax on the other is good enough.
Okay, thank you.
So if you learn Java, Python syntax is fine to know, or VB syntax is good to know. See, I could always show myself as that I've worked in HPQTP because I did, but currently I may not be remembering all the VB script commands. I'm personally talking about myself. But once I pick it up, I'll get to it. I know how QTP works, the whole inside out of it. It's just syntax, a few things here and there. But yes, from a coding, I would say Java, Python, read the script, and a little bit of JavaScript. Yeah, again, see, it's Java or Python sometimes. And this C#, you can't give it away. A lot of requirements these days are saying C#. Looks like market is hungry for C#. And they come up also because of the fact for us that, these are proprietary softwares, it's a license. So there are a lot of customers already using them. It's not easy for them to just quickly overnight move on to, oh, I will go to Selenium or Heniot or Catalan. They cannot do that. They still have to stick and build their own frameworks. Maybe we should build an Heniot version on C# and release it. Help everyone. Any other pointers, team? I wanted to go into a few more questions, but would want to take any pointers from you. Okay, team, how about this question? IDE versus WebDriver versus Grid. Little lazy to document, but at least if someone can speak about it briefly. Who wants to try? I'm asking someone to try, please. Anyone? Vijay,
Yeah, hi Karthik. Yeah,
hello.
Selenium IDE, it is an integrated development environment. It will use for record and playback. And we can't write any code in IDE.
Cannot write, you saying?
We can't write any Java code. So we are using mostly we are using the WebDriver for the Java code and Selenium.
Yeah.
And Grid is here for the parallel testing if you want to cross browser testing.
Sure. And let's hear more. Team.
In IDE, we will write only HTML code, maybe HTML.
Like the format in which it comes.
Yeah.
IDE saves actually in .SID format. It was earlier HTML, but yeah, HTML-like format. It saves as HTML. Okay. Team, rapid fire, guys. Shoot your answers. What's wrong?
We cannot get results kind using Selenium IDE, Karthik. Like we get from using Selenium WebDriver. Also, test cases, they cannot be grouped as we see in Selenium WebDriver.
We have test suite, I believe, there. The project, we can run them like that. And also going ahead here, also easy. I don't think it's easy, team. Information. That's where we need to put in the effort to get the output solution. So here now back to test cases cannot be grouped and a few more things.
Karthik, I think IDE is not supported for any Android or Android applications. Mobile testing.
I mean, it cannot do anything. That way it cannot do even with Apache POI and so on, because it's got a very limited set of features. Up in Java or any project, it's not unlimited. Yes, please.
And it is a Chrome and Firefox plugin, IDE.
IDE is a Chrome and Firefox plugin, sure.
Yeah. First it was only Firefox plugin, now it is a Chrome plugin.
Yes. Hello. Go ahead, guys.
I think I wanted to add one more point, Karthik, for IDE.
Harshvardhan, maybe there's little noise at your end. You want to go ahead with your answer first, Harshvardhan?
Support for
Little louder for me, please. Supports. Yes, others team. Couldn't hear Harshvardhan. It's rapid fire at team. And Grid, is that it? WebDriver. Can you all come up more well prepared for these questions tomorrow? Yes, please. Go ahead.
Selenium WebDriver is a browser automation framework that accepts commands and sends them to a browser. It is implemented through browser-specific driver. And Selenium WebDriver supports different languages like Java, C#, Ruby.
What else, please?
And Selenium Grid is used to execute test cases across different platforms and different browsers and different operating systems, basically.
It can be same platform or it can be different ones, correct?
Yeah, different platform and different browsers.
Does it have to be different?
It can be.
But it can be the same as well.
Yes.
So it basically executes it on a different. In each one, they'll decide what it would be. Yes. Any more answers?
I would like to add one more point. IDE or Grid won't support the alerts or they won't support the alerts and navigations, drop downs, all that stuff. IDE and Grid, whereas WebDriver supports all of these.
Can you show us a practical example for this? When we're saying it doesn't support alerts or drop downs, because I don't know if it is true. Fully, at least. So to what extent, I just want to make sure. So let's research background once, team.
Okay. Okay. I mean to say like pop-ups or those
Yes.
alerts are not supported by IDE. I'm not sure.
I'm getting confused as well. So let's check. Let's make sure and come back on that.
Sure.
Because yes, for WebDriver, we can do everything that we want. In IDE, maybe we have not extended ourselves to that great extent. But even if we have a simple scenario with a pop-up like Climatic or any other application, we can try and see what's happening. Is it recording? Is it able to play back?
Yeah, let me go through whatever is there related to this. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, Karthik, it is saying the same. Yeah, Selenium IDE doesn't explicitly provide aid to handle alerts, navigations, or dropdowns.
Okay, so I think as a sentence, it made sense. We want to theoretically look at it. So it goes into our heads nicely. Because I'm not able to visualize this to an IDE at least. Then we can calculate it. Sure.
Actually, there are.
I want to say on question number 23. Oh, sorry.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Actually, I see that there are some kind of commands in Selenium IDE that we can use for alerts, pop-up, multiple windows and such things. There are limited number of commands, but we can handle them. Actually, I see that in assert, alert, assert, not alert, or something like assertion can be done at least if alert is there or not. And also we can store the variables and then retrieve them and then validate them.
We can do a lot of things on that. We can store text, we can echo them, we can verify. I know we cannot do maybe loops in it.
Yeah.
Don't know if we can have conditional statements in it.
True, not like a real code.
Not like if statement, yeah. Or functions and all that we cannot. We're putting anyway. Okay, cool.
So we can consider that there are limitations in that.
Of course, absolutely. So IDE has a lot of limitations, team. And in a practical scenario, even today, IDE is not made to be as a product to be sold. Think of it like you open a new candy store. Okay? And there are people walking around to other stores, but your store is new. How will you get people to taste it? Give them some free bite. No? Stand out with a tray and say, okay, have a free sample, try if you like it, come in, buy a dozen of our donuts, whatever. So that's what Selenium IDE is for Selenium as a application or as a team, whatever the company is doing. So they want to push that so it's easy for someone to get started with some basic automation. Oh, now you want to go higher? Let's go coding. Let's do frameworks. So that's level 1 and then level 10. There's no point. Otherwise, they could have built so many other features consistently into into Selenium IDE itself. So team, little bit more research at your end, and let's kind of give concrete answers to these, please. So, if possible, some like walkthroughs. How? The same team continue with element identification and so on. There is someone I did not let speak. Hania, was it you?
Yeah, it is me. I want to say about the BDD framework.
Yes,
question number 23. It is a framework where we use the jargon language, and jargon language means it's a simple English text language. It is for client understanding, who clients don't know code language, so he can understand the simple English text language. So I prepare one like chart for that. So you want to show? Want to see?
Sure. Why not? I can make you a presenter. The team, always feel free to ask me to make you a presenter. You can walk through your answers too.
Okay, this is I make the like BDD Cucumber framework where we use the Maven project. So why we use the Maven project? Because it's we don't need to like upgrade our file in the Maven dependency. It's upgraded by itself in the version. In any case, if you change the version, then we just need to go through the Maven dependency and change the version, and it's upgraded by itself. And in the framework, we need to make the two packages, and where we the runners and the step definitions. In the runner, we use the predefined syntax, and in the step definition, we can use like codes, like
So your runner.
different methods using the jargon keys with the yeah. And feature files we can use the language, like how we do that when we login page kind of things. Let's suppose we are using the browser, so we open the browser, we're using usernames and password, login in it, like simple language we're using feature files.
Nice. And how does do you have a sample of any output of these, or is it just more of an architecture diagram right now?
Sorry, what do you say?
Is it a sample architecture diagram, or you have a framework behind it where we can see the result reports or something?
No, I just like I try to make it, and then I just for a like understanding purpose, I just make this framework.
Very nice.
Like I have something, but I think that I mean you can
show me please if you don't mind. And that's a very nice flow chart.
Okay.
Easy to understand. Nice coloring, flow diagrams.
Oh, yeah, I mean I made the first time. Do the best time next time.
Sure.
Okay, this is a BDD Cucumber framework. Here we use the one dependency. So it's all the dependency and all the jars, which files we used. It's there. Okay, and here, we make the packages, the runner, as I told you. If you go there, we just use like this syntax. We use it there, and here step definition. We use we use our browsers and use all the Chrome driver syntax, and we use the different methods over there. And for the for the feature file we
Any
used
specific application it is doing?
Yes, sir. I'm using for this. I just for the example. I mean for the learning point of view, I use this side. So here we just I just give a sample, like we use a first name, middle name, and last name. First we enter the user URL, and then we need to then what we need to our action. Then we need to write down our actions, and then we can add on like what we need to do next, like this thing we needed.
So primarily
And in this
change the way what given when then and or whatever, and give those condition statements here, and each of them is linked with a specific functionality, right?
Yes, yeah.
Verifies
If
the
you go here,
title of the
link to
application.
yes, yeah, this like link here, you know, it's linked to the feature files. This is all the keywords like given, when, then. It's all where it's linked to the feature file. Here we used it the same way we need to work.
We don't need to use for an and, correct?
Yeah, that's it.
It's always then. Any of them will be there.
Yes, sir.
Great. Very nice. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, welcome. All right. Back to me being the presenter. See, that was interesting team. And Cucumber, we have tutorials also that I believe Manoj did a few months back. You should watch them. On team, that's it from my side. Same document. Please continue to work on it and get ready for more questions tomorrow. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Hi, Karthik.
Yes, please.
Can you please share this document in the webinar?
I'm doing that. Just doing it.
Is it okay if I add more questions into this document?
Absolutely. Just add it towards the end, please. So that way, it's not disturbing the flow. Just keep adding into this. And any questions, team, that you would want us to talk about, discuss, keep adding. into this list.
And I just wanted to check if I can add behavioral questions also, because nowadays everyone is asking competency-based questions in STAR approach.
Absolutely. Any questions that you see that are pertaining to what's happening in a QA automation is dead roles, definitely feel free to add them here.
Okay, thanks,
So
Karthik.
if we don't have answers, we'll try and find the answers. We'll learn through. All right. Perfect. Anyone else? Great. I'll see you back all tomorrow. Thank you so much. That was lovely interactive session. Hope we keep the same momentum. I'll see you all back tomorrow. Bye now.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.